Hello everyone, welcome back. It's Matthew McKenzie here again. Care of lived experience, often lecturing, um, providing videos to give some knowledge, to be honest, not only to carers but general public. This one's going to be a tricky and difficult lecture. This one, as you can tell by the title, strengthening family bonds regarding caregiving challenges. Now, I have to admit, when I was caring, and I'm still trying to do support for my brothers when it comes to maintaining family relationships. Um, it's a tricky, very tricky situation. The main reason really is that family structures and connections are complex. Um, I can say without a doubt, there's not one family connection and structure that is the same. It's all unique. People have reasons, not always good ones, when it comes to supporting a caregiving role or having that particular person being assigned the duty of that caregiving role. And I'm not going to say fully um, how you can maintain and family structure and bonds on the type of long-term illness that you are supporting. I'm just going to assume it could be mental or physical or even both, ill health for the person that you're caring for, and you could be living with them, or it could be, your long distance care if you're not living with them. But the main thing here is family relations is part of that caregiving role. Um, Depending obviously if on the size of the family, or even if you have other relatives, but playing the game right, and I shouldn't sort of put it that way, but planning can really can really ease the situation of an unpaid carer. Do it wrong, and you're going to find yourself isolated, um, with risk of being burnt out. So this is quite, it's a difficult lecture, it's quite an important one, but let's continue to see what I'll be covering in this one. So the first thing really when it comes to strengthening family bonds and keeping that connection to the family is it's really all down to communication. Telling it like it is. You've been assigned that role, or you've chosen that role as a caregiver to someone in that family, or a close friend. I'm going to sort of say family member. Could be like your dad who's elderly. That's just an example I'm just going to go with. But a lot of it is really down to communication between all parties. So that's the first thing I'm going to be sort of talking about. Um, Delegating responsibilities. I often say to carers who come to my online groups, um, why are you the sole carer? You're saying that you have to deal with so much. Is there anyone in the family that can help? Also be um, covering, prioritizing family time. Um, Something carers don't often tend to think about because they're so busy running around trying to support or care for the person that they're caring for, to be honest. Maintaining that balance in that family role, whether you like it or not, if you have a family, you are still in that family. But what is your role rather than just the carer? Involving professional support, we'll look at that. Setting realistic expectations, fostering that emotional support for both parties, to be honest, not just for yourself, but trying to maintain that family bond, and that is the emotional support that keeps the family together. Then looking at things in a positive light, celebrating those small wins as well, because although it's a caregiving journey, there will be situations where you have to climb up steep hills, but there are positive outcomes, and you know it takes a view of being confident and continuing to push on despite the challenges you face in your caregiving role and trying to keep that family together as well. I'm not sure why I've decided to put that one last. I think that should really be near the top because it is about breaking that stigma, the caregiver stigma, helping others to be educated on what you're trying to care for, so they can sort of help out and try and explain your role and why you need that support. And last but definitely not least, this I'll always try and add the aspect of caring for yourself because in fact, if you look at it closely, the nature of caring is that you put someone else first before yourself. But the problem is, if you keep doing that, you're not really taking care of yourself. So maybe that should be the last lesson. So that sort of sticks, you know, in your mind. So taking care of yourself, and then we'll sum that all up. So the first thing really is whether you're caring for someone or not. When it comes to family, it's all about communication. Now, why would that be? Well, if you keep those lines of communication open when you first entered into that caring role, it helps to update your family members about the condition of that person that you're caring for and any challenges you may face. A quick hint is that there's some things that will highlight in red because I felt it was really important to mention. I'd keep saying it's all about the communication aspect. So what tends to happen when you're caregiving for someone in the family, um, it's not so hard to get into arguments and conflicts. So with communication, and I'm sorry I'm going to have to say this, I'm not going to say how. That's something, another lecture. But with communication, though, you can prevent misunderstandings and help the family feel involved because although the other end is that no one wants to help out, they're looking at the other situation. You got those who want to help out but feel, you know, you're hogging it. You're trying to be the favorite to care for that person, but there might be reasons why you assign yourself that task. So the thing is to try and keep that family involved if that's what they wish to do, and also if they want to be involved, what is it that they should be aware of when you're helping to care for someone, whether it's the family member or even a close friend. But I'm going to just say family member because this bit is about family. Next thing is express needs and boundaries, and I should put the boundaries in red to be honest. So you got to share your own emotional, physical needs with family members. Let them know when you need that support. Don't just sit there and complain to say no one's helping out. As I've put in red, it's about that communications, that open communication, but also set boundaries. Again, so I'm not going to really cover in this video for now because it is when setting. I have actually done the guidelines when it comes to setting boundaries, but that's with the cared for. It's going to be slightly different when you're setting boundaries with family members or relatives. But in the end, you need to be respected. And the reason why I say set boundaries is because sometimes, family members will just put things on you. They're saying, oh, look, I'm busy to go, I'm going shopping. You give, John a bath or you cook dinner because I'm going to go out and go to the pub, whatever. So, it's about getting that respect, or he's in hospital, you visit and, we don't need to do anything. I need to go to work. So that sort of thing, really, you're going to be sitting down saying, listen, I visited, almost every day in that hospital. Um, I think it's about time, you help out, you visit, see how your family member is doing. And I'm not saying all families are like this. No, that's not correct. But there are situations and warnings that I'm trying to say that, a carer may end up in when it comes to family. So communication, setting those boundaries and being respected. And also on the other scale, if they don't want to be involved, and you were really struggling, encourage them. So basically, you're involving those family members in that caregiving decision, where appropriate, so that everyone feels engaged in that process. And it also spreads that responsibility, reducing the emotional burden on yourself if you are the primary carer. And usually there tends to be just the one or two if you're lucky. So continuing on, delegating responsibilities. So share the care. So if you're able to, start assigning tasks to other family members, even if they live far away. They can contribute, helping administrative tasks, finances. I'm not saying paying for stuff, but helping to state where things should be going or what you need to watch out for, or even dropping by for the weekend to give you a bit of a break. So it's basically just sharing the care, and you're not feeling overwhelmed in your caregiving responsibility. As you can see from the picture I've put here, we've got two couples, and this is on the right. And what are they doing? They're trying to create a care plan. So they're working together with the family to create that care plan that outlines, who does what. So that way you're not throwing things, you're not given that task, and people understand what they're doing. And this prevents that one person, as I mentioned, from feeling overwhelmed and keeps everyone accountable. And if things do get out of hand, it doesn't hurt to ask for help instead of the general plea of support. Say, can you at least cook dinner, just twice a week, or can you take over? This is the respite situation. Can you take over care on the weekends? Just so I can have a bit of a break. So all this is down to delegating those responsibilities. This isn't the hard and fast rule, I'm afraid, because obviously, you know, there can be a situation where, and a good example, your sister might be going through long-term illness. So, as a brother or as another sister, you're trying to be the main caregiver. Um, so can you imagine telling like your father or your mother this type of thing? And it's even tricky if you're a young carer as well to make matters really tough. So it's not a hard and fast rule, but it's something you can try and incorporate. As I said, the family structure is very complex. It really is. So prioritizing family time. So basically, it's set aside, non-caregiving time. Dedicating time for family activities. That don't involve caregiving responsibilities. They're not easy to do, but you're trying to keep the family together, aren't you? So even small moments like watching that movie or having that meal together can maintain a sense of normalcy and connection with that family. So that if you have a family to begin with, you always want to keep that family. Just because someone is going through long-term illness doesn't mean that family is gone. It's just about trying to keep that family unit together. Um, Plan those family gatherings. So involve families in the events that, can help build those bonds. Birthdays are important, holidays are important, just get-togethers. And a big reason for that is to reduce the isolation as well, but also maintaining that family bond. You're spending time with the family. Again, not I'm saying it's not going to be easy to do, but something to take note of. And again, it's making sure those caregiving responsibilities are divided, and I've put that in red. So you, as the primary caregiver, can get a chance to relax and enjoy the family gatherings, the connecting with that family. So we've got two pictures here of those who, let's just say, they're the main carers, and they're not very happy. Why is that? Well, they've been overloaded. So we want to avoid that role overload as the carer. And it can be really easy. It can just sneak up on you. You can be easily consumed by that caregiving role and lose your sense of self in that family. So this is where you've got to be mindful of maintaining your identity. You're still a person. Whether you're spouse, parent, sibling, friend in that family, avoid the caregiver overload. Acknowledge that other family members that they need to pay attention to the emotional and physical needs of other family members, especially, children or elderly relatives, so they don't, feel overlooked in the caregiving process. And they didn't mention there's, that extra complexity of young carers, and they will get hit by those emotional, physical needs. And to be honest, it might not always be down to the young carer highlighting this. It could be another family member stepping in to remind others of your needs as the young carer. Share those emotions. Again, it's about maintaining that balance and that family roles. Remember, those roles don't disappear, but they might change. But it's about allowing family members to express, their emotions about the situation. They'll, as a warning, those emotions will be, well, let's just say very emotional, to be honest. Caregiving can be emotionally draining, and I'm sort of saying there's be arguments, be sadness, anger, all that type of thing. But again, it's about the communication as well. So sharing those feelings can help reduce that tension. Um, I'll give you an example. Your loved one health may be going up and down, but at the moment it's deteriorating. You're feeling overwhelmed. Family members are complaining, saying that you're not pulling your weight, but you're the one doing most of the caring. And without a doubt, what will happen is there will be arguments. They're saying, listen, I'm doing most of the caring. The reason why the cared for is going through a tricky time is they're not being supported. So that type of thing. Involving professional support, very important, and do take note. If it's there, do consider using it. But what do I mean by involving professional support when it comes to maintaining family relationships? And if you're in that caregiving role, so it could be that family therapy, and I've used it before. It could be counseling. But sometimes, professional intervention is needed to help family members, navigate that emotional and relational challenges of caregiving. And family therapy, and I don't knock it, you know, it can really help strengthen communication and foster understanding between family members. But again, only if it's available. Counseling can be tricky to get hold of, not cheap. Bring in the support services. So again, another form of professional support, especially when it comes to respite care or professional caregiving services to give you and your family a break. It doesn't have to be every day, but it really does reduce the stress of the caregiving duty. Sometimes when we find ourselves in that caregiving role, we can literally throw ourselves at it, not realizing what we're letting ourselves in for. So setting those realistic expectations can reduce the, the overwhelming role of caregiving. So on this one, you have to be really clear about, your limitations, to be honest. Help family members understand that as a carer, you have limits. Do this as soon as you can. It's important to acknowledge that you may not be able to participate in all family activities or be available as before. And ask for flexibility, encourage flexibility and understanding from family members regarding changes in routines and plans that may arise during caregiving demands. Fostering emotional support. Now, what does this mean? Well, basically, it's, help family members understand the emotional toll of caregiving so they can, in turn, offer forms of empathy and support rather than criticism or resentment. And this is, things that I've mentioned before, about the situation that the cared for's health perhaps is declining. And the first thing the family's going to do is blame you. Why are you not doing your caregiving role? And they put more on you. Or the other example is, why have you not been seeing us more than often? And you might snap. You might say, listen, I'm caring for someone with cancer, or caring for someone mentally illness. Obviously, I can't, I can only do so much, but you want to do this before it gets to that situation. I'm not saying it's going to be perfect. There will be situations where, unfortunately, someone's going to snap. Who says families were easy? It's just not the situation. It's trying to stay in that family unit, stay together, keep things strong when someone unfortunately is very unwell. And remember, it's about communication. Another thing is addressing those feelings of guilt. Carers often feel guilty about not spending enough time with their family members, loved ones. But you've got to acknowledge those feelings, and it might not just be guilt. It might be anger. It might be sadness. It might be loneliness and isolation. But you've got to recognize that you're doing your best. You're not trained to do this, and it might be under very difficult circumstances. So once those feelings of guilt does come along, acknowledge them. On the other side of it, though, it does help to keep a positive perspective. It's not about the battles and the challenges. It's about celebrating those small wins, just as I mentioned at the start of this video. In caregiving moments, there will be positives. There'll be forms of joy. It might be rare, definitely, but it does help to celebrate those small achievements and put that in red, or improvements in the cared for person's condition, and it can bring the family closer together. I'm not saying this is 100%, but it helps to keep that positive attitude. So that way you're not sort of emotionally worn down by your role. And keeping everyone focused on that shared goal, remind family members that everyone is working towards that same goal. You want to see the health outcomes improve for the person that you're caring for. You want to see the well-being improve. So that shared purpose can help alleviate conflicts and bring family members together. It's all about keeping that positive perspective, keeping that family unit going. So we're nearly coming to the end of this video. I hope it's been really helpful. Well, not helpful, but helpful in regards to how families can keep together when going through the challenges of caring for someone with long-term ill health. But what really helps as well in regards to communication is education as well. So it might be down to you if you're doing the main caring. It helps to educate that family about the condition. There are unfortunate situations where people just don't understand a particular symptom, especially when it's mental illness. They might not understand. So provide your other loved ones, your other family members with the information about the mental illness or the condition of the person that you're trying to care for. It's all about providing that empathy and reducing that frustration. The more they understand, the more patient and supportive your family might likely be. And it's all about combating that stigma. So, help family members overcome any stigmas or misconceptions they may have about mental illness. The reason why I chose to mention mental illness a lot is because that is my lived experience. That is my background. So I'm obviously going to throw that in. And also, to be honest, mental illness can literally destroy whole families. It really can. So I was trying to sort of stay wise. I've chosen to do this type of video, this type of lecture, because I do hope it can help others out there. As well as those honest discussions that can actually break down those barriers and help, the family, be more cohesive when it comes to combating stigma. Oh, this is last, it's not least. It's so important to take care of yourself. You're only one person, and if you don't take care of yourself, it's not really going to be easy to take care of anyone else. So you have to prioritize that self-care. To maintain those relationships, it's crucial that if you are the carer, take care of yourself, take care of your physical and emotional needs, taking breaks, getting enough sleep, eating well, engaging in those activities you enjoy, whether it's reading, walking, writing poetry, which is something I tend to do, and try and be present and emotionally available for your other family members, although they should also chip in as well and be available for you. And again, if that support is there, don't hesitate to seek it. You have to ask. Don't just sit there and complain and moan that you're not getting support. If it's there, though, it could be friends, it could be support groups. Register yourself at your local care centre. That can help in strengthening that identity as you as a carer, or even seek that counselling. So again, it does help your emotional needs and, help the situation regarding family relationships. To wrap this all up, maintaining those family bonds, those relationships, when you're having to provide caregiving, requires a lot of effort. But as I said, as I put it in red at the beginning of the video, it's about the communication. That's really what it's down to. And sometimes if the help is there, professional help, seek it, ask for it. Um, and also, you should try and involve your family, but also setting boundaries. I put that in bold because I think most of the time people just put things on others and expect them to just get on with it. And I don't think that's really fair, to be honest. But if you do find yourself in that situation, it's so important that you look after yourself as well. You know, the end all and be all to all of this is families that fight together, stay together, and the situation, the ultimate test is when one of that family member becomes the carer because they're trying to keep that family together. So it's going to be challenging, it's going to be difficult, but that's what family's about, isn't it? Well, anyway, if you felt this video has been helpful, leave me a like, feel free to subscribe, and thanks for visiting. Do share as well. I'm sure there's many others out there that could find this video helpful. Thanks for stopping by, and I'll see you again soon.